bringing those children into your store to get them to safety, and you were bringing elderly people into your store to get to safety and putting yourself in the direct line of fire to do that.
Hi everyone, we are Mustard Seed Sanctuary's founders. This is Nancy, CEO, Linda, CFO, and I'm Natasha, COO, and we are here to tell you our why.
July 17th of 2022, I was in a mass mall shooting, and I'd been in other mall shootings before, unfortunately. So I was a store manager for Castleton Square Mall, the K Jewelers there, for years. Within 1 year, from 2020, August of 2020 to August of 2021, there were 6 shootings in that mall. Everything that happened at Castleton was always like, oh, this guy made this guy mad kind of situation. Right? So it was never a premeditated, deliberate tragedy to, you know, terrorism on a mass group of people. This one was different because it was targeted at everybody instead of just a situation where one person was, you know, firing at the other. And it happened right in front of our store, so we kind of had front and center seats to all of the event.
When did you realize that this was different?
So that's, I think, one of the saving graces in this is identity. In the moment, my brain thought, these idiots outside, someone ran and got a gun out of their car, brought it back in, okay, because it had always been that kind of situation. So that's how my brain kind of tried to make sense of everything is that somebody went and got a gun, and I could hear different types of gunshots going too.
Oh.
The shooting happened inside of the food court. Okay, so the gentleman that, well, he wasn't a gentleman, the horrible person that decided to do this, he was waiting in the bathroom for a long time inside the food court for about an hour before he decided to come out and start, you know, evoking like all hell on everyone. So we had just gotten our gates pulled down, okay? And I start hearing it, and I'm familiar with that sound. I looked at one of my employees and I said, that's gunfire, you need to get back. I asked where the other employee was. They had gotten on the ground, and then I looked outside my gates and I could see there was an ice cream stand. And at that ice cream stand, 2 teenage boys were crouched behind the ice cream stand. And then there was another family with their parents were behind there crouched as well. So parents and their kids. 3 of the 6 people didn't speak English. People were chasing people out the door. Okay, so and it was raining, so you couldn't really see what was going on out there. You could see a mass brawl kind of thing. I'm just motioning to them like, do you guys want to come in here? I can bring them into my store, but that's not getting you out of the mall where everything's happening. So between my assistant manager and I, we get the gate up a little bit. I motion them in and get them in the back room and tell everybody to start calling, at least the kids to start calling their parents. Calling 911 and letting them know where we were at.
Like
And
little updates almost, kind of.
yeah, please have somebody come get us, right? Because we were scared and we didn't know what was going on. It was disturbing leaving when they finally came and got us out. I mean, I literally had to have a police officer pick me up off the ground. I couldn't walk. We're escorted out, but we had full visual of what happened. So you could see a lot of what happened. Also, you're passing like feces, people's shoes. I mean, people lost control of their bowels. They ran out of their shoes. I mean, this is a visual that is in my dreams still. Yeah. I really didn't realize the damage done, right? It took me a while. Those initial days right after that, the day after, our store was closed, obviously. They were cleaning them all. I called my district manager. I was there for 3 days. I realized I couldn't be in the environment. My body physically was making me sick. I would throw up inside the store, shaking, couldn't think about anything else. And then everybody that comes into the store wants to talk about it, right? So you are not escaping at all. And I was like, I gotta get help. I am not doing well at all. I said I'm taking some time off, and at that point, and called HR and put myself on leave. At that point, I didn't even know it was a workman's comp situation. It was a Linda needs help situation in my mind.
HR is telling you this is a workman's comp situation and you're seeking medical care for yourself.
Right.
How long of a wait did you have? How long of a lag?
So to get into that workman's comp therapist, because there's only one in the whole state of Indiana, you get one. My appointment wasn't till mid-November. So you're talking 3.5 months. And I decided that I needed to seek out my own therapist until I could get into you need something right now. Not 3 months living in that trauma. When you take and add 3 months of waiting, all you're doing is letting that manifest and stir and develop that trauma and just reliving and reliving and reliving. And that's just creating more and more of a permanent mark. An immediate trauma completely affects your brain.
It does.
And
It rewires your brain.
It does.
When it comes to clinical PTSD and when it comes to life-threatening events that is clinical trauma, what ends up happening is, that's it's something that's sitting in your short-term memory. It's something that is the first thing you're thinking about. And it stays there. So instead of the brain and the body responding like something that happened in the past, it's responding as if it's still happening. There's real bodily responses to trauma. And some of those responses you said in your recount of it, people losing their bowels.
Right.
There's natural responses that the body has to go through. It's going to go through because it changes you immediately.
Immediately. And it affects you in different ways, like your whole form of identity is gone. When you go through this and it affects you, and I'm sure both of you did this same thing too, because even though you didn't go through a mall shooting, you had to be on high alert for yourself after. And so how many times did you go into a restaurant or go into a public place and find out where those doors were?
I still do.
I do it to this day. I know where every exit is.
But you don't get over that.
No, but you learn how to work around it.
Yeah.
And you learn how to work with it.
That's where your brain has changed. You can't understand everything that's going to change you until after it's done. Really kind of shed a light on what lacks.
There's a lot of good going on. There's a lot of great ideas and a lot of resources, but the problem is they're not as readily accessible as what they need to be, and they're not as known as what they need to be.
No, it's like pulling teeth.
I actually know a nonprofit consultant, and he told me really simply, like, when it comes to the nonprofit sector, how we justify starting up a nonprofit is we have to look at society in 3 different sectors. We have the consumer for-profit sector, and almost everything can be found and covered in that sector. However, not everybody can afford to enter in some sort of therapy in that sector. Whatever cannot be afforded in the for-profit and consumer sector, that's what the government sector is supposed to provide. And when the government sector is still lacking, then that's when you have justified bringing up an organization in the nonprofit sector. So based upon what you're telling us about the state of Indiana only having one workers' comp therapist, and you having to go 3.5 months on your own dime, and not everybody can afford that.
And the thing is that workman's comp is supposed to pay you back for that. I never got paid back. Workman's comp is kind of one of the complicated things that has helped come up with Mustard Seed Sanctuary.
You personally have engaged in our alternative therapies for your own trauma healing. And how do you feel that has either complemented or sometimes even been better?
We sat down and really kind of started developing Mustard Seed Sanctuary. We kind of, I think, still we're healing. I think that we've all gone through some healing because all 3 of us have had our own trauma experiences, and all 3 of us suffer from PTSD. And that's one of the reasons that brought us together, not only our faith. One of the main things that Mustard Seed is there for is to really let people know that they're not alone. The other 2 women that were in my store that day were very vocal about they had trauma too. They
Of
had
course they
PTSD
did, yeah.
too. But they could not work to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of us is to be missionaries, to be able to witness to somebody that needs help in that moment, that trauma
Mm-hmm.
moment. There's people that go through that don't know about God
Yeah.
and don't know that like He's there for you that whole time, like right next to you, and it is a comfort.
Because you're talking about essentially connecting to the Creator,
Yeah.
and connecting to our Creator, and knowing that ultimately all healing has to come through Him. Any true, real healing has to come through the one who made it. He knows how this brain operates. He knows how it responds to certain things. He knows that the body's going to respond to what the brain thinks,
Right.
and so He knows the
I
system.
want to be able to pray with people. We're not trying to change the entire world, just the world for one person at a time.
Yeah. Realizing those natural and holistic modules for healing, we're working side by side and hand in hand
Mhm.
with licensed clinical healthcare providers, psychologists, social workers, you name it. We're working with them, and they are playing an intricate role in helping to create a tailored plan for their client that they are looking at from a clinical standpoint and thinking, okay, this will benefit that person, this will
Mhm.
benefit that person.
There's not a class that we do that I am not excited before I get to do it.
Yeah, they're fun.
But there's not one medication that made me excited to do
Yeah.
it.
That's right.
That's right.
And I am happy to say that I'm off all my meds. And that was because of the other therapies that
Yeah.
I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
It's the holistic healing, that all encompassing, getting out there in nature,
Using your hands,
creating things,
using your mind.
doing exercise,
Mhm.
being physical. Those are the real therapies that I think too often we see our environment just, here's a pill that will fix that.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to have 18 other problems from that.
So one final thing I want to say about our services of Mustard Seed Sanctuary is that we are really highlighting a lot of creativity. Actually, we do kind of indirectly hope that some of our clients will eventually even form their own business out of that.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. And then they turn around and they've made something fruitful that started out from their own trauma, actually. And that's the whole mustard seed mentality.
Just empowering people to take their trauma and do something with it.
Don't be a
Do
victim.
something good with it.
It's so easy to just stay in bed and not deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing, but you're dealing in a bad way.
It's so easy to just get in bed, to stay in bed and not deal, but you're really dealing. I think that's really the part of what takes a true victim, okay? Because that is a true victim.
Right.
When this was not my fault, but it is so powerfully impacted me. Taking yourself out of being an actual victim into becoming a victor. Hey, I know this wasn't my fault. I know I didn't do this to myself, but by golly, I'm going to do something different to not stay in this state.
Right.
That's powerful too.
And that is more powerful
Right.
than that victim mentality.
And a lot of good can come out of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes we just need somebody to help us get there.
All right, guys. So that is our first video installment of our why. And next we will be doing an interview on me, I think. Nancy.
I want to go last.
She wants to go last. So I'm going to let her have it. So thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate all your support.